Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the top 5 most hated characters in Smash Ultimate, at least from my own personal experience. Now, all these characters honestly aren't way too bad to play against, but they're people that I see a lot of different players complain about, either offline in tournaments or mainly 100% online. With that in mind though guys, let's get going. The first character I'm going to talk about here is going to be the Belmonts, be it Simon or Richter. And I feel like the thing about the Belmonts is that they kind of embody what a lot of people hate in fighting games, what a lot of people hate in Smash Bros. A character that is based off keeping your opponent away from you, throwing a ton of projectiles, and being relatively safe while doing all of this. In general, I think when we look at characters that are hype, we see characters that do a lot of damage, that have a lot of combos, that have a lot of speed, a character like Roy or somebody like that. But the Belmonts are essentially the exact opposite of those. Now, while watching the Belmonts really isn't way too bad because, there are some really cool stuff this person can do, but when you're playing against a Belmont, and especially when you're playing a slow character versus Belmont, that is just absolutely the worst. When you add lag to all this, so you can't really perfect shield, or I guess parry all of their projectiles coming in, you can't really parry their forward tilt, and they can just keep hitting you out of the air with their forward air and back air, it can really start to become frustrating when you can't just simply rush them down as some of the rushdown characters can. Now, of course, as well, if you are playing a character that has some really good far-range projectiles that can beat out the Belmonts, it doesn't really turn out to be way too bad, so I feel like 100%, depending on the matchup, this character is either really annoying to play against or not that annoying to play against. But overall, he's one of those characters that I see a lot of hate for online, and a character that can essentially just kind of abuse the same strategy, side B, down B, neutral B, forward tilt, forward air, rinse, repeat, get people on the edge, hit him with a down B, hit him with a forward smash, rinse, repeat. And while, there are, again, some cool things this character can do, overall you see a lot of the same stuff, and it's very defensive play, and that together I think makes a character that a lot of people just don't really like to see way too much. Moving on to the next most hated character, it's going to be one that honestly probably could have topped the charts in Smash 4, or maybe got, second place underneath Cloud or Bayonetta, but it's going to be Sonic. And I feel like Sonic in Ultimate kind of got a bit of a free pass away from being one of the most hated characters, just because he's not quite as good anymore, and he can't camp quite as well anymore as he did in the previous game, and as well, you don't really see as many of them. Now, this all adds up to the fact that, you aren't really reminded as often that there are good Sonic players that can play very defensive, that can essentially just time you out of every single game, so you don't really worry about it way too much. However, I have yet to see an actual game where people go in there, people are playing against a Sonic, especially a very campy Sonic, and thinking to themselves, this is a really, really fun matchup. Especially, again, versus a lot of slow characters, which is, kind of a pain for, I guess, a lot of the characters that, people like to play. There's a lot of heavyweights people like to play, and Sonic does really, really good against those characters. Now, the thing about Sonic that I think makes him really annoying for a lot of people is the fact that A, he can time you out really, really well. He can run around the stage, avoid all your attacks, and B, he can just make so that you throw out an attack, you miss it, and then he comes in with his own attack, which can be very frustrating for people. When you're trying to just get in there, you're trying to make plays, and they're getting stuffed out every single time, while yes, there is of course counterplay to that, that doesn't mean that it doesn't kind of frustrate different players and creates a problem where, it's a little annoying to play against this character. Now with its own mind, he's not quite as strong as he used to be, as I said earlier, and as well, he's just not quite as predictable or as annoying with his side B as he used to be, so it's not really way too bad. But again, I haven't really seen anybody say they really like playing in Sonic at all. I've heard quite a bit of people saying, it's pretty annoying unless you have a projectile or something like that. For the third slot, I honestly couldn't really decide between 4 characters, so I'm just going to mention all of them and then just pick the final one that's really popular right now, and that's going to be between Inkling, Pichu, Ike, and finally Wolf, which is the character I'm going to talk about. Now, what's in common between all these characters? Well, they're all top tiers that seem relatively easy to play. Now, with someone like Inkling, of course, you have side B. With someone like Pichu, you got lightning loops. With someone like Ike, you got Nair. And finally, with someone like Wolf, you just have a character that's pretty good at everything and isn't really way too hard to play. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people hate out of a top tier character. They hate having to play versus a character that is just, outspeeding them, out damaging them, outranging them, using blaster, using combos, using all of that. And overall, I guess just finishing stocks earlier than they can. The thing that I think a lot of people hate about, I guess specifically Wolf compared to his other characters though, is that it seems like Wolf doesn't really have a hole in his game plan at all. He's a character that you can just pull out pretty much as any player and just kind of start playing. There are a lot of good Wolves and bad Wolves and medium Wolves, but he's one of those characters that you really can't mess up way too much on. He probably is one of those easier ones to get into, and a lot of people don't like having that as a top tier character. They'd rather have some characters like Peach or, someone like that, I guess. that could apply a lot more technical skill than just, throwing in a lot of really good basic things. Now, of course, as well, Wolf himself has giant hitboxes. He has a blaster, which is just completely ridiculous. He has a back air that kills stupidly early and a down smash that is very frustrating to play against as well. And I guess the most important thing about this is that you see Wolf all of the time. And I think this applied to Inkling at the beginning. You saw Inkling in like every tournament match. And then later on, you saw Ike for like a month. And now you're seeing Wolf literally every single game when you go online and you go to a tournament. Probably one of the most popular characters. Overall, I think people just don't like playing against the same character again and again and again. And when it's a character like Wolf, which is, a pretty basic character, sometimes it can get a little boring. And while in general, I'm going to say for myself personally, I don't have way too much struggles against Wolf. And I actually think he's a pretty dang cool character. I can see where a lot of complaints come in, and I can see why some people just don't really like playing versus this character anymore, while they might have liked doing it during the first few months. Ness is a character that is just not really like all these other characters, because honestly, if you're playing versus a Ness in person, I don't feel like it's that bad. I feel like if you kind of know the matchup, if you know how to play defensive, and if you know how to play kind of baity, and just outspace a lot of his aerials and outspace a lot of his moves, it really isn't that bad to play against. However, I see where a lot of the Ness hate comes in when you play online. Playing online versus Ness is just the absolute worst thing to do. Now, there's a few reasons for this. The first reason is the one that you guys all know about, and that's going to be PK fire spam. Now, when you're playing against Ness offline, this probably isn't really going to work against you at all. Maybe he'll hit you with a few PK fires, but after that, you can just kind of jump over them, time it really well, parry all of these, not really way too bad. However, when you're playing online, you can go PK fire after PK fire after PK fire, and sometimes it just feels like you're jumping over this, or you're air dodging through it, or you're shielding it, but it's just not working. It's just not coming out, and you're just getting pressured by this stupid move that shouldn't be working on you, and happening again and again and again, and yeah, that can be kind of frustrating. I guess as well, you have to mention that he has a lot of hitboxes that are pretty darn big and pretty darn active, like his forward air and his neutral air and his up air. And he's a pretty small character, which means that, again, while you're online, it's sometimes hard to hit him, while it's really easy for him to hit you, because, he's just throwing out a hitbox, and it's pretty easily hitting you, but you can't really get to him. Overall, it just feels like the Ness player doesn't really have to space that wall online. It's just kind of all working for him, and that can be really frustrating, especially when you're playing a character that is very much based off spacing, like a Swordy, or even, I guess, like someone like Mario, who has to space quite a bit better than Ness to do well in that matchup. Now, some other things I have to mention here is, of course, that back throw. Back throw is just such a strong tool. It's not necessarily broken at all, but he does have a lot of things that lead into this, and when you're playing a character that doesn't really have way too many kill moves yourself, it can be kind of frustrating to go up against. The final thing I have to mention here, though, is going to be his edge guarding, and this is just kind of annoying no matter what you're doing, mainly because I feel like the Ness player is just kind of doing not way too much, but getting a lot of results. Now, this comes from the fact that he has his up B, and he has his down smash. Down smash in itself against some characters just straight up will kill that character. Ness walks to the ledge, uses down smash, and you're dead. And for a lot of players, especially when you're playing at a lower level and normally you don't get edge guarded at all, yeah, that is very frustrating. As well, when you're somebody like Little Mac or someone like Roy or any of those characters, and Ness happens to use up B, hit you with the back of the tail, you go flying backwards just a little bit, just enough to kill you. That hurts a lot on the inside. And yeah, while there are ways to counterplay this, it's just one of those things that's very frustrating to play against. And overall, Ness, online especially, because one of those characters that's, you just don't really want to see way too much, but he works pretty well there. So if you want to pick him up, he works pretty well. But I do think he is one of those characters that gets a lot of hate online. The final character I'm talking about here is definitely the one that, has been memed on the most, that has been talked about the most, all of that. And it's going to be Olimar. Now, Olimar has had a lot of players that are like, hey, why are you hating Olimar? Pretty much sarcastically, because this character has a lot of stuff that a lot of people just don't really like to play against way too much. Now, of course, as I've been talking, the majority of the characters I've been mentioning so far have a pretty defensive playstyle that is pretty hard to get in versus. And if there's one character that has a great defensive playstyle, it's got to be Olimar. He's the character that can just start chucking projectiles left and right, his Pikmin, get a ton of damage, force you to approach, and if you don't, well, he can just, get 2 or 3, maybe even more purple Pikmin, and then he's essentially just in his god mode. He really can't do way too much against that. You're in really big trouble, and he can just kind of rinse and repeat that every single stock. Now, what this does for you is that it means that you're going to have to go in against this Olimar, you're going to have to attack this defensive character, while at the same time, he's just going to keep running away from you all the time, throwing out hitboxes. That is kind of frustrating. At least to the fact that he is kind of small, he is kind of hard to hit, and that he can actually whistle out of certain combos, a lot of different combos, and it means that, when you finally get in there, when you finally get through his wall, he's still getting out anyways, and it's one of those things that's just quite annoying to deal with. Now, I guess another thing about Olimar is that he's a character that surprisingly does a ton of damage out of nowhere. When you think about a very good defensive spacing type character, you think, he probably has a few, decently damaging moves, but most of the time he hits you with one move and then you take maybe 15-20% at max, and then you're reset to neutral. Olimar in a lot of cases can just latch a few Pikmin on you, hit you with a 1-2 combo, and there you go, now you're at 70 or 80%. It's one of those things that's just kind of unexpected and a little frustrating to deal with. What this means is that you have to be very offensive against him, but as well you have to be quite patient, because if you aren't, well, you're going to be taking a ton of percent, overall making so that people that just like to go super offensive can't really benefit, and people that like to play super defensive also can't really benefit, kind of forcing you to play in this middle-of-the-road playstyle, which some people just can't really get into. Now, I guess the final thing to say about Olimar is that he just has overall a ton of really good moves, and, while that's not necessarily a good or bad thing for or against him, against certain characters it can be kind of annoying. All his aerials are really good, his special moves, of course, are really good, and I think the most important thing that people complain about a lot is his smashes. Side smash and down smash themselves are pretty strong moves, kill pretty early, really good against shield, and sometimes you can get like a side smash into a side smash, and that works somehow against his shield. Of course, the most important move to talk about, though, has got to be his up smash. This thing is just kind of ridiculous. For some reason, Olimar can walk up smash on your shield, and be safe, and go into something like a grab or another up smash or an aerial, anything like that. There's some ridiculous stuff this thing does, and as well, it does combo, it does a ton of damage, it's safe, there's so much stuff for this move. And while, yeah, there's some counterplay for a lot of players, it does become pretty frustrating pretty fast. Overall, Olimar is that character that I don't really see way too many people actually picking up unless they want tournament results, because if you do pick him up, a lot of your friends probably won't want to play with you way too much, which is sad, but kind of the honest truth. A character that I see actually quite a bit of potential in as far as skill goes, but one that, of course, is quite annoying to play against. But there you guys go, the top 5 most hated characters in Smash Ultimate, at least in my opinion, at this current time. Now, of course, as well, there probably are quite a bit of different characters that you guys personally really don't like to play against, so if you would, please tone down in the comment section down below, but please be civil. As for myself, I actually personally like playing against a certain amount of these characters, but I'm not going to be specific on which ones. You guys are going to kind of have to guess on what I was saying. With all that said, though, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below your own opinion, and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Top of the screen is a card for more videos like this on a playlist, so hope you guys can enjoy that. As always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a smashing day.